Welcome everyone, and this is Venu. You are watching programming concepts on loops. In this session, we are going to discuss about following these programs. And totally, there are 15 programs. Are there? We will see one after the other. All these programs. The first program is find the factorial of a given number. So all these examples are related to the loops here. I'm taking okay, one program with the help of for loop and another with the while loop and some do while. So anyway, the first question is this here: find the factorial of a given number. So for this, so first of all, I am including the header file here. Okay. Now inside this, I'm writing a return 0. I'm writing the return 0. Okay. And now we need some input to find out the factorial of a given number. We need some input, so that is why I'm taking n. So I have to display some information to the end user like printf, enter the number. After then I'm reading the number with scanf function. So reading part is over. And now here, what is my intention here? I want to find the factorial of a number. So for that, so I'm taking, suppose I have to take a number called suppose 5. How to calculate 5 factorially? 5 into 4, 3, 2 and 1, and it is also equal to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means the 5 factor will be equal to, so it's a product of 5 into remaining numbers or 1 with the up to the 5. Just we are doing the multiplication continuously, we will get the factorial of a number. Okay, so now, okay, generally, if suppose we need 1 to 5 numbers, first of all, if n is 5 means we need 1 to 5 numbers. So that is why. So first of all, have to read 1 to 5 numbers. Okay, already you know how to read 1 to 5 numbers. Just I am taking I value is 1 and I less than or equal to 5 and I plus plus. Okay, and then after then, what I need to do here? So we have to multiply this I with, okay, first I. So that is why I'm taking I, and it is multiplied with some other variable. I'm taking some f. So for the first time I need 1 for the first time. So already I is 1, and first time I want to get the result 1 means what is the value? It should be 1 only. So that is why, so initially take one variable f is initialized with some 1, and now multiply this f into I, and we can assign this result to again f. So now f equal to f into I. That's it. Now first time when I value will be 1, f equal to 1, you will get first time 1. Okay, and after then I will be 2, 2 less than or equal to 5. We are multiplying again 2 with the previous value of f. It is 1 into 2. So like this, next I will be 3, like 2 into 3. Okay, next 6 into 4, like 24 into 5. Like this, you will get I will be 6 means 6 less than or equal to 5. Condition is false. Okay, so now I need one index variable and one another variable called f, and f is I am initializing with some 1. Take the for loop here, I equal to 1 and I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. After this, f equal to f into I am taking. So finally I am printing here f value. After completion of this here, I have to print the f value. You can also write like this, the factorial of percentage d is percentage d, and first percentage d is your number and second percentage d is your answer. You can now save the code. So I'm writing here compile and run the code. So it will ask input here, enter the number, like I'm giving 5. So now the factorial of 5 is 120. Okay. Now the first one is finished here. So if we need any analysis of this code here, just see. So first, if n will be 5 means, if I am reading n is 5 means I equal to 1, 1 less than or equal to 5 true, then f will be equal to 1 into 1, 1. After then I is 2, 2 less than or equal to 5. Then I will 1, 2 less than or equal to 5 true, then f equal to 1 into 2, 1 into 2, then 2 will come. Like I will be 3, 3 less than or equal to 5, 2, 3 just 6. I will be 4, 4 less than or equal to 5, 6, 4 ja 24. Next I will be 5, 5 less than or equal to 5, 24, 5 ja 120. I will be 6, 6 less than or equal to 5, fail, condition is false. So if condition is false means cursor is come to the ninth line, then it will display the values. What are the values I am printing here? N and f. N is input and f is your output. Okay. So like this, if you suppose if you want to give 4 here, the factorial of 4 is 24. Okay. Now come to this. After finishing the first one, the second one is find the sum of the digits of the number. Hmm? Okay. Anyway, so I have to explain about this eighth question. So almost this eighth solution is similar to this first one. So that is why I have to explain here. The eighth one, sum of first 10 numbers. So how to find the sum of the first number? Hmm? Already this code is for what? It is reading the numbers 1 to n. But instead of doing the product of each and every value of 5 with the f here, just we have to do the addition. Okay, we have to do the addition. But see here, f value is what? 1. So if you exclude this here, one extra value will come. Already we have taken f equal to 1. So that is why, so if we suppose if we add anything to some variable, if the value is 0, it is not affected, the result is not modified. So that is why I'm assuming f is 0. Or generally, so for doing if we are implementing any sum of, if you are finding sum of any number, just make it the sum is initialized with 0 here. So if we 0 is added with that number, it is not affected. And if you are doing product means, so the value is initialized with 1. Okay, for the purpose of product take 1, for the purpose of doing sum take 0. Okay, and now I have to take here my variable is related to my application, so that is why I'm taking some, or yes, you can take suppose yes, and now it is yes, and it is yes is nothing but here sum. So finally make changes here, the sum of first percentage d numbers is percentage d and comma yes. Okay, now again compile the code. So I'm giving the input here 10. The sum of first 10 numbers is what? The sum of first 10 numbers is what? 55. The sum of first 10 numbers is 55. Okay, so now the second program is also finished here. Just it is similar to the previous one, but I am taking s is 0 here. First I value is 1. Okay, if I am taking n is equal to suppose 5, 1, 1 less than or equal to 5, so 0 plus 1, 1 plus, next after then I value will be 2, 2 less than or equal to 5, then 1 plus 2, Okay, it will be 3. Next I value will be 3. 3 less than or equal to 5. Then 3 plus 3, it is 6. I will be 4. 4 less than or equal to 5. 6 plus 4, 10. Then I will be 5. 5 less than or equal to 5. So it is true. Then 10 plus 5, 15. Then I will be 6. 6 less than or equal to 5, fail. So finally, sum is having here 15. So let us verify for the value of input 5 here. So now if I am giving input 5, the sum of first 5 numbers is what? 15. The sum of first 5 numbers is 15. Okay. Now second one is also finished. Okay. And coming to the next question, I want to find the sum of the digits of the given number. I want to find out the sum of the digits of the given number. So that is why what I am doing here. So I want to find out sum of the digits of the number. So that is why here. So first of all, I am reading the number. It is same. Okay, I am reading the number. So I have to read first each and every digit from the given number. Generally, how we write. So here I don't know how many number of iterations the program has taken. That is why I am using here while loop. In the previous case, I know number of iterations. That is why I have used for loop. So now in this scenario, I don't know. So first I am assuming that. So if n value is not equal to 0, then condition. If it is not equal to 0, condition is true. Then immediately I have to store each and every digit of the number here. See, so if you want to extract here, if suppose input is 123, I am using modulus 10. Then if you want to extract the first digit of any number here, use modulus 10. Then you will get 3. Modulus will give the remainder. So if I am writing 12 percentage of 10, 2 will come. 1 percentage of 10, 1 will come. So if you want to remove any digit from the number, then use divisible by 10. So divisible by 10. Now see, so in this case here, 123 percentage of 10 means, so I have to extract this digit. That is why I'm using modulus 10. 12 percentage of 10 means, so I have to extract this digit 2. Okay, 1. I want to remove this 3. Then I can use here divisible by 10. Then 12 will come. 12 by 10, 1. 1 by 10, 0. Like this. So to extract the digit from the number, use divisible 10. Okay, use here modulus 10. And to remove the first digit here, use divisible by 10. Okay, I have to implement this logic here first of all, or and immediately. So first of all, I am printing all the remainders here. Okay, and after then again I am taking n will become my n will become n by 10. So now once if I am executing this here, I am not declared r. So that is why I have to declare r. Now see if I am giving 145, then I am printing all the remainders 5, 4, 1 in reverse order. Okay, but what is our aim here? We should add the sum of all the digits here. So that is why, see how I get all these values here. So first time if I am giving input, my input is 123, r equal to 123 percentage of 10. 123 percentage of 10 means 3. So 3 will display. Next n will be 123 divisible by 10. It is 12. Again for the value of 12, the loop is verified. Is it 12 not equal to 0? Yes. R equal to 12 percentage of 10 means it is 2. Next n will be 12 by 10. N will be 12 by 10. 12 by 10 means what? 1. Again 1 for the value of 1 it is not equal to 0. R equal to 1 percentage of 10. Then it is 1. So like this after then n will be 0. 1 divisible by 10 means it is 0. So 0 not equal to 0 condition false. So So if condition will be false means it is terminated. Finally, what is the value of r? What is the value of n? N is 0, so 0 not equal 0 is fail, and it will display here 3 to 1. So I'm giving 1 2 3, you will get 3 to 1. That's okay. So now by this way we are getting the digits, but what is our aim? We need to get the sum of these digits here, so that is why I have to take one more variable called sum, or yes, anything. Then I have to take sum equal to sum plus r, sum plus r. Okay, now so like first the sum is add with the first digits, after the next digits, like that the total sum is available in the variable sum. So finally print that sum, print a percentage d, the sum is, the sum is, okay, sum. All right, now compile and code the, run the code here. 123. So now the sum is what? 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 6. Okay, now this program is finished. Okay, the thing is that here, if suppose I want to display the number also, the sum of the digits, of a given given percentage d is, so first percentage d is n. But here the problem is, what is the problem here? So I have to display this n value. See, if I am giving here input 123, then I am getting the output is the sum of the digits of given 0 is 0. Why? N is modifying to 0 here. So n is modifying to 0, that is why in the place of n you will get 0. So that is why I have to take some more variable, extra variable num, and num is initialized with this n, and now write here num. Now see the code here. If I am giving input, then you will get the sum of the digits of given 1 2 3 is what? 6. Okay, now I am getting the correct one. And after this, so the third one is prime. Okay, we will see this prime after this. The given number is palindrome or not. So see the fourth program. Palindrome means this 121 and 1221. So why 121? If number and its reverse, 121 reverse is 121, then it is palindrome. 1221 reverse is it's same only, so that is why it is palindrome. But if I am taking 145, 145 reverse is 541. These two are equal? No. So it is not palindrome. Then how to implement the code here? Just here we have to do here. This program is for what here? Printing the sum of the digits of the number here. But anyway, so this r is what here we are fetching the digit from the number. So I should multiply. Generally, decimal number system is having the radix 10. So I should multiply this sum with 10. Then you will get the the reverse of the number. So here first of all I have to print the sum value. After then I will explain detail. So I'm giving 123, then I'm getting here 321. Okay, anyway I have to take the variable is related to the code, so that is why I'm assuming this is reverse. Now I'm taking reverse and it is reverse. Now print the reverse. Okay, I'm compile the code 123 321. Yes. So why I'm telling this reverse means what? To write the, to implement the logic of palindrome, we need reverse of the number. So that is why here I found first reverse. Okay, and then after this what is my intention? I have to compare this reverse with actual input. What is the actual input? Num. Don't take here n. Reverse input is num. Now if it is true, then it is palindrome. So otherwise it is not palindrome. Okay, so otherwise it is not palindrome. Okay, let us compile the code. I'm giving 123, so it is not palindrome. So if I am giving 121, it is palindrome. 121 is palindrome. That's all. Okay, so by this way we can find out the input is palindrome or not. Okay, input is palindrome or not. Okay, this is the fourth one here, the fourth program. And if you need any analysis, first I have to take one number. Okay, I have to explain only this part. See if I am giving suppose 145. So how I am getting this reverse, it is correct or not? If I am giving 145, what is the value of r? It is 5. What is the value of r? 5. And what is the value of reverse? Reverse 0 into 10 plus r. Again, you are getting it is 5. Okay. And what about n? What about n? N is 145 by 10. 145 by 10 means it is 14. Okay. Now for the value of 14, again, is it 14 not equal to 0? Yes. Then what is the value of r right now? What is the value of r? 14 percentage of 10. 14 percentage of 10 means 4. And what is the value of reverse? Reverse is previously reverse is 5. So 5 into 10 plus current value of r is 4. It will be 54. Okay, it is 54. And what is the value of n? What is the value of n? N percentage, sorry, n divisible by 10. It will be 1. Now again for the value of 1. Is it 1 not equal to 0? Yes. R equal to 1 percentage of 10 means it is 1. And now reverse value is previously reverse is what? 54 into 10 plus value 1. It is 541. And n equal to, okay, 1 divisible by 10. 1 divisible by 10 means 0 here. So now 0 not equal 0, condition is false. Okay, so finally reverse is having what? If I am giving input 145, I am getting the reverse is 541, correct. Okay, so now if the reverse and the number both the two are equal, then it is called palindrome. Okay, so I am giving 124, it is not palindrome. What is the reverse of 124? 421. So is it 124 and 421 are equal? No. So that is why not palindrome. Hmm. Okay. And next, after this, so I have to explain the Armstrong number. I have to explain the Armstrong number. Why am I explaining this Armstrong number means almost it is similar to this palindrome program. So see in this scenario, so Armstrong number generally I'm explaining here in the question. So already in our channel I gave Armstrong number program also, but here I have to only explain about 3-digit Armstrong number. And if you need the complete clarity about Armstrong number, just to see the video of my Armstrong number program. In that I explained everything, the definition and program, and all other programs also I explained clearly about Armstrong numbers. But anyway, just I have to explain here only for 3-digit input. So if my input is 3-digit number, sir, why input is 3-digit number means, see, if I am taking suppose an input like this 153. Okay, and if you take input is 153, just 1 power, hmm, 3, add 5 power 3 plus 3 power 3, 3 power 3. Okay, so if we add this here, 1 power 3 is 1, and 5 power 3 is 125, and plus 3 power 3 is 27 here. So if we add all these things again, you will get the same number. You will get the same number. Okay. So now in this scenario, just a number which is equal to the cubes of the digits of the number here. So digit length is 3. So that's why we are doing the multiply 3 times with the each and every digit and add the sum. So here in this case, so I don't want to take any. I need here sum of the digits. So that is why I'm taking sum. Here also I have to take sum, and it is also sum. But the problem is here. What is the problem here? We are adding the not only single digit. We have to do the cubes of the digits. So that is why I have to take r into r into r. That's all. Okay. Now after getting the sum, and now compare this sum with the input num. Then it is Armstrong number. Armstrong number. Otherwise, not Armstrong. Okay. Now I'm compile the code. I'm giving 153. 153 is Armstrong. So if I'm giving 145, 145 is not Armstrong number. Okay, 145 is not Armstrong number. And this is about here Armstrong number form. So already I explained about this Armstrong clearly in my previous video. Please watch that. Then you can understand the concept clearly. That's why I don't want much concentrating on this program here. Okay, and after this, I want to explain here the perfect number or not. Okay, I want to explain about a perfect number. So I want to explain about perfect number means. So what is mean by perfect number? What is mean by perfect number? The perfect number is perfect number is this. So if I am taking 6, take all the factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, 6, and add all the factors 1 plus 2 plus 3, and excluding the number, then 6. So don't consider this 6. Do the sum of the factors of a given number, and that sum equal to the number itself, then it is called perfect number. So if I am taking 28, 28 factors 1, 2, 4, 7, 14. Okay, don't take consider 28, and add all this here 10 plus 7, 7 plus 7, 14, 14 plus 14, 28, 28 and 28 equal. So now 28 and 6 are called perfect number. Then how to implement this here? So how to implement? I have to write from the starting onwards. So here also we need some sum. Okay, and I have to take here. No need to take any while loop here. Directly I know the number of iterations, so that is why I'm taking for loop. So I have to find the factorial of a given number. So I have to find out all the factors for the given number. So how to find out all the factors here? Factors of a given number generally. So if I'm taking suppose 10. If I'm taking 10 means just I'm writing here 10 percentage of 1, 10 percentage of 2. Okay, like this we have to take the numbers from 1 to 10. So if the scene where if we are getting 0, the remainder 0, then the number 2, 1, these 10 are called factors. Okay, so if wherever you are finding the factor, just add this factor with the sum, that's all. So that is why, what is the condition? If n is divisible with I, then you will get the remainder 0. Then add that factor with the sum, that's all. Okay, but see, I don't want to take here, we don't want to consider here, don't include a n value, so that is why I'm removing equal here. The condition is what? Up to I less than n only. And after getting the sum, now this sum is equal to n, then it is perfect number, otherwise not a perfect number. Okay, so now if sum is it equal to n, it is perfect, otherwise not. Let us see the verification. So I'm giving here 6 is perfect number. Okay, 6 is perfect number. I have to give one more example, like 28. 28 is perfect number. And what about 10, sir? If I'm giving 10 means it is not. So what are the factors of 10? See, if we take 10, the factors are 1, 2, 5, and excluding 10. So 5 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, 8. 8 is it equal to 10? No. So that is why it is not a perfect number. Okay, it is not perfect number. Now, so after the perfect number, so I have to explain about the this prime number. Oh, okay, strong number program. After then we will see the prime. So strong number program. What is mean by strong number, sir? The strong number is this 145. 145 means 1 factorial plus 4 factorial plus 5 factorial, and it is again, if we add 1 factorial plus 4 factorial plus 5, then you will get same number 145, and this is called a strong number. Okay, strong and Armstrong are different here. Strong means the sum of the factorial of a digits of the number is it equal to the number, then it is called a strong number here. 1 factorial plus 4 factorial. 1 means 1, 4 is 24, and 5 factorial is 120. So 120, 144, 144 plus 1, 145. So how we implement this task here? So to implement this task here, I have to take this. So my intention is that it's very simple here. See, so if I'm reading input like 125, suppose, so I have to fetch first all the digits. Okay, first I have to fetch all the digits, and after fetching these digits, calculate its factorial. After this, calculate factorial and calculate factorial. After calculating all the factorial, add the sum, that's all. Okay, so now, so for this purpose we need first a while loop. So that is why I'm taking while loop. So I'm taking here n not equal to 0. So I have to fetch each and every digit from the number. So n percentage of 10. Okay, and now after this, for each and every iteration here, I'm initializing some f value with 1. So it is my fact, or otherwise I'm taking fact equal to 1. Now declare one more variable called fact, and calculate the factorial of this r. That is why I'm taking I equal to 1, and I less than or equal to r, I'm taking I plus plus, and then fact equal to fact into I, that's all. And after this, after completion of this, I know the fact value, just add this fact with the sum. Okay, and now for each and every time n can be modified here and can be modified. So finally you have some sum, and that sum is compare again. So here after completion of all the things here, n is modified. So now take one more duplicate variable called num and assign this n into the num. Now compare your sum with the num. If it is equal, then it is strong number. Okay, so now it is not strong number. I'm compiling and execute the code. If I'm giving input here 145, strong number. 145 is input is strong number. Next after then I'm giving 125. 125 is not. Why 125 is not? See, if you take 125, 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 5 factorial. 1 plus 2 means 2, 5 is 120. Is it equal to how much here? 123. Okay, so now it is not 125 here. So that is why it is not a strong number. Okay, so what I am doing here, it is for fetching the digits and it is for calculating the factorial. And after calculating each and every factorial of a digit, do the sum. And after getting the overall sum, compare the sum with the input. If it is equal, strong number, otherwise not strong number. Now after completion of the strong number, the next one is I have to explain about the prime number. So basically what is mean by prime? So what is mean by prime number? Okay, so first of all I have to explain here. If I am giving input, so generally what is mean by prime? So prime is exactly having two factors here. One is 1 and second one is the number itself. Number itself. That means what? A number which is having exactly two factors are called prime. And if it is having more than 2 or less than 2 is called, it is not a prime. Okay, it is not a prime. So my question is, I have to verify here first prime number or not. That means here also we need to find out the factors of a number. So if any number is factor of that number, means just we have to find out the count of all the factors. Okay. So here I have to explain this program with the two approaches. Okay, so first of all, see the first approach is like this here. According to the mathematical definition, the prime should has exactly two factor, means it is the number which has exactly two factor is, that is prime. According to that, I explained first. Okay, so first of all I have to calculate. First of all I have to calculate here I equal to 1 and I less than or equal to n. I plus plus I am taking. Okay, if n percentage of I is it equal to 0, so that means what? I found one factor, so I have to count all the values here. So that is why I'm taking some count is 0. So if you found any factor, just increment the count. Okay, but this is not appreciating code here. Why? It is having some drawback, so I have to explain that later. So now, after completion of all this, if the count will be equal to 2, then it is prime. Otherwise, not a prime. Okay, otherwise it is not a prime. And now compile the code. So I'm giving 12, 12 is not prime. If I'm giving 5, okay, if I'm giving 5, if I'm giving 5, then it is prime. See, so in this scenario, just I am counting the number of factors of a given number, and if it is equal to 2, then I'm saying that it is prime. Okay, so what is the drawback of this code here? The drawback is, if I am giving suppose 1000 as a input for this program here, if I am giving 1000, so now how many number of iterations it will take? If I am giving 1000 here, it will take 1000 times. Okay, 1000 percentage of 1, 1000 percentage of 2, 1000 percentage of 3, 1000 percentage of 4, like that. It will take 1000 percentage of 1000. So that means that is the drawback of this program here. It will take 1000 iterations. Okay, it will take 1000 iterations. But this is the drawback here. As a good programmer, we have to reduce the number of iterations. So reducing the number of iteration means reducing the memory also. Reducing the memory means what? Memory allocation will be reduced. Once memory is less means burden onto the processor will be less. So burden onto the processor less means what? Increase the speed of the program. Increase the speed of the program means performance of the program is increased. So finally, to increase the performance of the program, okay, we need to reduce the length of the code here, or reduce the number of iterations also. That is called optimization. Okay, so that is why I have to give, I have to explain the same code with the another approach. Okay, anyway, if I'm giving 1000, it will take 1000 iterations. Hmm. So what is my another approach? What is my another approach is, so see, my intention is that, so already we know prime is having two factors. One is 1 and itself. So if we found any factor, any factor other than 1 and itself, 1 and itself, then the number is not prime. That's all. The number is not prime. So what is the principle I'm using here? So if we found any factor other than 1 and itself, then the number is not prime. With this logic, I have to implement the code. Okay, so in this scenario, I have to exclude 1 and exclude the number also. I have to exclude 1 and the number. So just I have to take only half of the iterations here. Okay, I'm taking, so that is why I have to take only, I have to exclude this one. So that is why iteration starts from 2. And I have to exclude this n. I have to take only half of the iterations. Okay, now see, I am taking I equal to 2, where I am taking half of the iterations. Okay, if there is a situation, suppose here what I'm doing, so I'm taking a variable called flag. I'm taking one variable called flag. So now if this is if there is a number, okay, if n percentage of I equal to 0, then immediately I'm changing the flag value as 1. Then I'm using here break. I'm using break. Break means what? If we found at least one factor for the given input, then immediately have to exit from the loop here. Then you are based on the flag here. If a flag is it equal to 0, it is 0 only, it is prime. Then flag is 1 means what? There is another factor is there. So that is why if never there exists no factor for the given input means flag every time 0. If flag is 0 means it is prime. So if we found at least one factor means flag is changed to 1. So that is why it is not. And let us see the execution. I'm giving 1000 here. 1000 is not prime. I have to give input 5. So 5 is prime. 5 is prime. Okay. So like this we will get. So now see, if I'm giving same iteration, if I'm giving same input 1000 for the input, how many number of iterations the program will take here? See, it will take so first I is 2, 2 less than or equal to 500, true. Then 1000 percentage of 2, 1000 percentage of 2, it is equal to 0. Then immediately flag will be 1, and break means what? It is terminated from the loop here. Okay. So right now what is the value of flag? 1. Is it 1 equal to 0? Then else part, it is not showing, not prime. But now how many iterations it has taken here? Only one. Only one iteration it has taken for I equal to 2, and it is condition is verified. So with the break here, break means what? It is used to terminate from the loop. So that is why only one iteration it has taken. So this is the uh, recommended one here. The previous one is it's not a good approach, and this is the recommended one. Mm. So like this, if you give any number, like I'm giving 19, 19 is prime. Okay. So now I'm taking flag. So whenever if it is 0, make changes flag as 1, and finally if flag will be 0 means what? There is no factor. If flag equal to 1 means yes, there is at least one factor is there. So that is why it is not prime. Okay. Now this program is also over, printing the prime. And now I want to print 1 to n prime numbers program here. I have to print 1 to n prime numbers. To implement this, to implement 1 to n prime numbers, see, I have to take I'm reading the number, so this number is my range in this scenario. So that is why enter the range. Okay. So now your n will become range, it is not input. It is input but it is a range. So I have to take the values. Basically prime numbers are starts from 2 onwards. So now I am taking I equal to 2 to I less than or equal to n. Okay. And I am taking one more variable called j. I'm taking one more variable called j, and I am assuming each and every time here the flag is initialized with some 0. I'm assuming I equal to j equal to, again it starts from 2, and j less than or equal to I by 2 here. Why? I'm storing each and every value in I, so that is why I'm taking half of the iterations of the I and increment the j value, and increment the j value. So if I percentage of j is it equal to 0, then make changes flag will be 1 and break, and it is terminated from the loop. Then if flag is 0, then it is prime. So if it is prime means what? Here we have to verify the number I is prime or not. So that is why I have to print I value and close the braces. That's all. Okay. So now first of all verify this code, it is getting correct or not. I'm giving some 100. So now all these are my prime numbers. Okay, anyway, I have to verify for the next input. Okay. Now I have to explain this code here. See, so in this scenario, your n will become the range. So that is why I have to print prime numbers from 2 to n. Okay. So if I'm giving input to 10 means what? So I have to verify 2 is prime or not, 3 is prime or not, 4 is prime or not, 5 is prime or not, 6 is prime or not, 7, 8, 9, up to 10. Okay. So I have to read this number. So that is why I have to take this loop, outer loop. Okay. So now to verify the number, to verify this 2 is prime or not, I have to take this loop, and this approach is, it is similar to the previous case. But here in the place of I, in the previous case n I am taking. Now we are storing each and every value of just we have to observe the values inside the index variable I. We have to verify it is prime or not. So that is why I'm taking I by 2. Everything is common. But if it is prime, if it is the number is prime only, I should display. I want to display it. If it is not prime, I don't want display it. So that is why if flag is zero means there is no factor. There is no other than there is no factor other than one and itself. That means it is prime. I have to display it. Okay. And now the next one is print first n prime numbers. So what is the difference between these two codes here? Questions. So see, if I'm giving input 10 means for the 13th answer is 2, 3, 5, 7, 7 only. And now if I'm giving the 14th answer, suppose 14th, the first 10 numbers we have to display like 2, 3, 5, 7, after then 11, next 13, next 17, next 19, like how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. After then we have to write here 23, like 29. Okay, so by this way 2, 3, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13, 17, 19, 23, 29. Okay, so the difference is this for the first ఒక్క నిమిషం one. Okay, for the first 10 prime numbers, mm, so I have to display the first 10 prime numbers here. So that means what? In the previous case, your n is the range, but in this case, n will be the count. Okay, so for the 14th one here, n will be the count. So here n is count means, so enter the value. So now I don't want take this condition here. I don't want take that condition here. So if I'm printing a prime number, then I can decrement the n value. I can decrement the n value. Then I'm closing the loop. Okay. So when I have to stop this here, actually I'm not taking any condition here. I'm not taking any condition when it will stop. So now if n value is 0, it is stop. So that is why I'm taking here break. So when n will be equal to 0 means it is terminated. Now compile the code. If I am giving 10, so now I am getting the first 10 prime numbers. The first 10 prime numbers I am getting here 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13, 17, 19, 23, 29. Okay, so this is the question. Otherwise, if I am giving suppose 20, 20 means I am getting 20 prime numbers. I am getting 20 prime numbers. So here the same approach I am using here, but the thing is that first I have to verify from the number 2 to n anything here. So if I found prime, decrement the n value. Now n is acts like a count here. If when value is reached to 0 means I have to terminate from the loop here. That's all. And now 14th, this question is also finished here. Okay. Now once if this is finished, mm, so we have to find out, mm, we have to find out mm, the LCM and HCF of two numbers. Okay, LCM and HCF of two numbers. Then how to implement that? So generally for LCM and HTM of two numbers, I required how many inputs here? Two inputs. So that is why. So I have to read the two inputs. I am taking A and B. So first of all, read the two numbers. Printf, enter the two numbers. Okay, next, read the two numbers. Okay, after reading these two numbers, okay, first of all, read the two numbers. After reading the two numbers, so here I am taking one variable called HCF and another one is some LCM I am taking here. Okay, so generally HCF or GCD, both the two are same. HCF is highest common factor. So I have to implement the logic of this here. I have to implement the logic. So I have to implement the logic like this here. If suppose I'm giving 12 and 8. So the 12 factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. And 8 factors are 1, 2, 4, 8. And what are the common factors here? First, take the common factors of these two here. What are the common factors here? 1 to 4, 1 to 4, 1 to 4. And take the highest factor among this 1 to 4 here. Highest factor is what? 4. That's all. And that is your HCF. That is your HCF. Okay, I have to use the same approach here. So I am taking I have to take here. So I starts from 1 and I less than or equal to A, and then I have to reduce some number of iterations. That is why I'm taking here and I less than or equal to B and I plus plus. Okay, and after this, if suppose if both the two here A percentage of I is it equal to 0 and B percentage of I is it equal to 0. If both the two are divisible with the same factor, that is the common factor. Now I have to store into some HCF. That's all. So already we are incrementing the I value. Every time I is incremented, so that is the highest. So that is why here I don't want to write any find out any common factor here. So I should be here. The HCF value is overwrite with the largest value. So that is why just take this only. Okay, and see if you want to take all the iterations, all the iterations for A and B means then you can use R. Okay, you can use R, and if you want to reduce those number of iterations then take AND. Okay, uh, just R is the better one. Okay, after completion of this here, so first of all I am printing here HCF. 12 8. So answer is what? 4. Correct. 4. Now similarly I want to calculate LCM. So how to calculate LCM? LCM is product of A into B divisible with the HCF. And next I am writing LCM. So generally we have the formula here. What is the formula? The product of LCM and HCF is the product of two numbers. Okay. So I am using that formula. So I need already I found HCF. So I need to calculate LCM. So that is why I am using here percentage D space percentage D. HCF. and LCM. Twenty-four, 8. SCF is 8 and LCM is 24. 12, 8. SCF is 4 and LCM is 24. Okay, so now by this way you can calculate LCM and SCF. Okay, there are a lot of ways to find out here. By using division approach also we can find out GCD here. We will see that in upcoming sessions. By using function also, by using recursion concept also, we can find out SCF. Okay, so now this program is finished. And what are the remaining here? And the remaining one. So I have to explain about the Fibonacci series. Hmm. Hmm. So what is Fibonacci? The Fibonacci series is like this. The Fibonacci series is, if I'm taking input is, my input is 5 means I have to provide the Fibonacci series up to of 5 terms here. Like initially Fibonacci series consisting of 0 and 1, and the next value will be sum of the 0 and 1, and next value is sum of the 1 and 1, and it is 3. So now totally 5 terms I am printing here. 0 1 1 1 plus 1 2 1 plus 2 3 2 plus 3 only. So just we have to display the terms up to the 5 only. Okay, 5 terms. N is your input is the number of terms. So in this I have to explain first. So my intention is that I have to display first 0 and 1. Okay, so that is why first I am taking n and I have to initialize x1 is 0 and x2 equal to 1. Okay, so now read the n value, printf, enter the range. Okay, enter the number of terms. Scanf. Okay, now first of all I have to display these values here. X1 and x2. So I'm giving some space here, also I'm giving some space. Okay, but see, I want to print the remaining terms also. To print the remaining terms, so I have to take the for loop, and I already printed 2 terms, so that is why I'm taking from 3 onwards, and I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. Okay, and then first I have to calculate the sum of the two. So now print this, print the x value, print a percentage d, and to give some space and x. Okay, so now if I'm executing this here, if I'm executing this, suppose see, I'm giving here every time 0 and 1, and it will take 0 and 1 0 and 1 as the input, but from here, from iteration to iteration, x1 and x2 values are changed here. X1 will become x2 and x2 will become x, that's all. Okay, so why I'm writing like this here, see, if I'm taking 0 1 1 2 3 means, so for the first time I need to calculate this sum means x1 and x2 are 0 and 1. I want to get this one. Okay, after getting one, and this is your, okay, to get the 2, and this is your x1 and it is your x2. So that is why, so your x2 will become x1 and x will become x2. Okay, now I am compile and execute the code. If I am giving 10, so now see, 0 and 1, 1 plus 1, 1 2 2 3 3 5 5 8 8 13 21 34, like this. How many terms? It is 5 and it is 5, totally 10 terms. So total number of terms are 10. Okay, so you can also use, if suppose I is taken from 1 onward means just take I n minus 2. You can also use this. and give 5. It will display 0 and 1, 1 plus 1 2, 1 plus 2 2. Okay, so now this is the Fibonacci series. Okay, Fibonacci series. And now, and once the Fibonacci series is completed, and then I have to print this series here. I have to print this series as this. Here, what is the question? Just based on the value of n, we have to print this series as this and compute the sum. So that is why. So I am taking here. Okay, I am closing this. Okay, n is your input. Just take, and here we need sum. So that is why sum is I am initializing with 0. Okay. So first of all, I have to take the for loop. I equal to 1 and I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. And inside this, so what I need to do, first of all, I have to print the patterns like this. Printf percentage d comma 1 by I, 1 by I, and after then I am closing here plus. So I have to exclude this here. If I am giving 5, then I am getting 1 plus 0. So we have to get the patterns like this here. 1 by I think here 1 by, it is 1 by percentage t comma I. Now I am giving here 1, so I am getting 1, 1 by 1 plus 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4 plus, but I require only 1 here. So that is why if I equal to 1, if I equal to 1, I am printing the value I as this. So printf percentage t comma I. So first time, and the remaining cases, okay, now 1 1 by 2, but see here, after printing this I want to get right plus. Now I am giving here 5, but 1 plus 5 2, but it's not correct. Then what are the modifications we have to do here? So here I can write plus. I'm removing this. Now if I'm writing 5, then I'm getting this. So 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5. Yes, now I'm getting the, this is the way to print the series. Okay, but I need sum also. So I need the sum of this series. So now sum equal to sum plus 1 by I. And finally, I'm printing the series here. Printf percentage d comma sum. But observe carefully. Observe carefully. So if I'm giving 5, you will get the sum 1, but it is wrong. Okay, I can write, is it equal to some space I am writing. I'm giving 5, but it is wrong. The sum of this series is 1. So see here, I am taking rational number. Rational numbers means answer is some float value. So that is why I have to take some float here. Sum is, I am taking initialize with some 0.0. Okay. And next, I have to display it. Percentage of only dot to f. After the decimal point, I have to display only 2 digits. If I am giving 5, but I am getting only 1.00. Why? The thing is that this is whole result will be integer. So that is the problem. So that is why I have to write this 1.2. Or otherwise, you can also do the typecast like this here, float of. You can write this is float. So now float of 1 means what? It is 1.0 something. Then you will get the value. So now I am getting the float value, correct? 2.28 is correct. So I am doing here explicit typecasting. Here I have to convert this 1 into the float type 1.0. Okay. So otherwise, if you don't want to write like this here, just write it is 1.0. Then you will get 2.28. Okay. So now the 5 is the term, number of terms, the series, and whose sum I print here. Okay. It is also finished. And what is the last one here? The last one is this root digit. Sir, what is mean by root digit? Root digit means if I am giving 1947 as my input, 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7. So 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7. How much it is? It is 21. But again, 21 is not a digit. Then do this sum here, 3. So do the sum of the digits of a given number until to get a single digit here. Just we have to continuously do the sum, finding the sum of the digit number until to get a single digit. That is called root digit of the number. Okay. So now if I am giving my input like, okay, I'm giving this large value 7997017017088. So now 7 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7 plus 0 and plus 1 plus 7 plus 0 and plus 8 plus 8. So how much it is? 7 9 16 25 32 33 40 48 48 me 48 plus 8 56. So 56 equivalent and again 5 plus 6. 5 plus 6 means 11. 11 means 1 plus 1. So it will equal to 2. So if I am giving this input 79901708, I have to get 2. If I am giving 1947, I have to get I need to get 3. See the example of this. Okay. So now to find out the root digit of the number, we need one input. Enter the number. Okay. Now here also I am to take some sum is initialized with a 0. Okay. So the first thing is have to take a loop, while loop, and by using, it's nothing but it is the sum of the digits of the number program. Then r equal to n percentage of 10 and the sum equal to sum plus r and n equal to n by 10. Okay. Now after this, if your sum is again number, we can do the same procedure. So when a number generally starts, its number is starts from 10 onwards. So that is why if sum is greater than 9, just initialize again sum equal to 0. Okay, initialize again sum is equal to 0, then call the sum label. So I have to take the label after this while loop here. Okay, and I'm considering this as my label and I'm calling this label. Okay, sum is this, and you can also assign here. First, you can assign your sum into the n and sum is equal to 0. Why? Because for the next case here, whatever the sum we are getting here, that is the input of my while loop here. So that's why first I am assigning this sum into the n and 0 is assigned with the sum, then call. Okay. Otherwise print the sum. Okay. and this is the root digit. The root digit is the root digit is what is the root digit here? Sum. Okay. So I am giving input 1947. Then root digit is 3. Correct. But what about if I am giving input 7997017017088? It is minus 42, but wrong. Why? Because this integer range is some minus 32,768 to plus 32,7. But anyway, here I am using DAVC. So for DAVC compiler, the integer range is 4 bytes. So it is minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1. The integer, it is occupy 4 bytes memory, and range is minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1. So that is why I have to take all my inputs are long integer. So I'm taking long integer. So that is why here I'm using percentage LLD. Here also I have to use some percentage LLD. Then execute the code 7997017017088. Then you will get 2. Correct. Okay. So like this, if you give any large number, it will come. Okay. The root digit is nothing but sum of all the digits of the number until to get a single digit here. So like if I am giving suppose 19473. Why 3? Why 3 here? So for the first time 1947 sum is 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7, it is 21. Okay. Now is it 21 again? It is digit? No. So we have to do this sum until to get single digit. So generally digits are 0 to 9 only. So if your sum is greater than 9, it is the number. So that is why what I am writing here, if 9 again 21. Now 21 is my input. So 2 plus 1, then 3 is the answer. Okay. So here what I am doing, first I have to take the label here. This is my label. So it's consisting of this body. And now, so the scenario, if your sum is greater than 9, make here assign sum to the variable, sum into the n, and make initialize the sum with 0, and we'll call the label. So if this is not true, means already we find the sum as a digit, means just print that. Okay. Then what is the need of this here long integer? So if I am giving 10 digit number, if I am giving 10 digit number, means compulsory I have to take here long integer. So it is the value 10 digit is extend the range of integer, normal integer. So that is why I have to represent my integer as long integer. Then after reading this, I'm executing the code here. So percentage LLD is the format specifier for long integer. Okay. I think all the programs are finished here. Find the factorial, sum of the digits, yes, prime or not, palindrome, series, Fibonacci series, Armstrong, sum of the first 10 for perfect number, strong number, root digit, print 1 to n number, print first 10 number, LCM and SCF. So all numbers are finished.